The girl and by me, that's only right. I am proud that my silhouette is curvy, that I walk with a sweet girlish gait. My hips kind of heavily and swervy. I adore being dressed in something silly. When my date comes with me at that place, but I go with my George nobility, like a silly who's ready for the day. And I have a brand new hairdo, and my eyelashes all curl. I put on hairdo, I enjoy being a girl. And say I'm cute, honey, and my teeth aren't curled. I just slap it up like honey. I enjoy being a girl. When a fella sends me flowers, I drool over the stairs. I talk on the telephone for hours. A pound and a half of cream upon my face. I'm strictly a female, when I future I hope will be in the home of a brave and female woman boy, being a guy, having a girl. And men say I'm cool, goes around in a band girl. I just love it up like Randy. I enjoy being a girl. And someone with eyes that smolder, cause he loves every silk girl that falls on my ivory shoulder. I enjoy being a girl. When I hear a complimentary whistle that greets my bikini by the sea, I turn and I glower and bristle, but I'm happy that the whistle's meant for me. I'm strictly a female, and my future I hope will be in the home of a brave and free male. Ooh, and don't being a guy, having a girl. Me. All right. I had to get that out. Girl pride, ladies. Be proud. And corrosive is correct. It is from the 1958 musical Flower Drum Song by Rodgers and Hammerstein. So there's a lot of stuff going on. A lot of stuff. And I watched the shit show. And I know Mr. P was there. But I'm just going to say some things. I've got some stuff to say. I've got some shit to unload, and y'all are going to listen, and some of y'all will roll your eyes, and well, I don't care. So as for Mr. P, I have to applaud you for not staying on panel while your wife was called a cunt. You behaved as a husband should act. That being said, Mr. P, I would have booted you from my panel something I rarely do. Had your wife continued to insist on trying to insinuate herself in the conversation the way she was, instead of nutting up and taking a fucking link. If she was unwilling to gather up her courage, Mr. P, and take a link, then she should have stayed out of the conversation. You talked about what you deserved in your decision to interview Connie. You know, Mr. P, you're not the only newcomer we've gone through with about this and this little vagrant loser. You deserve to interview Connie and have a one-on-one conversation. Well, it wasn't a man-to-man conversation. It was a man-to-child conversation. You know, what about what Candace Smithson deserved? What about Bedtime Clown and Voodoo Queen? What about what they deserved? I mean, those are just the names of the people he screwed over the most monetarily. I mean, do you know how Connie repaid Voodoo Queen's kindness, Mr. P? She's a lady who grew up poor in Louisiana, pulled herself up and got a degree, made a good life for herself. And what did Connie do after this woman who had given him $2,000 of her hard-earned money? She told him she couldn't give him any weed money one weekend, and he turned on her. He threatened a woman with a degree and a good job because she wouldn't give him a handout, because he wanted weed. There are many people, Mr. P, that have deserved better out of their interactions with Connie. Hopefully you, Mr. P, do not join their ranks. There are so many of us that were in on hashtag defund Connie. Almost every single one of us in some way or another. I'm just one of the most vocal, if not the most vocal. Why is that? Why is Liz so vocal about the subject of Connie? So, a bit over a year ago, I reconciled with a lot of my friends in Tonic Server and made some new ones as well, and made the decision to stay. There were apologies exchanged and olive branches were extended, and everything was good. And one of the things that used to be a thing in Tonic Server, much to Connie's chagrin, most people know about it, was streaming Connie in Tonic's VC. And that is how I got exposed to listening to him on the regular. Because outside of the occasional tune in when I knew he was doing something, I wasn't listening to him daily. So now I do think that there are a few things that are amusing about watching Connie, but on the whole, it's an uncomfortable experience. There are times when I don't turn him on for days. It's not exactly the behavior of somebody obsessed. Many days I tune into him and just the sound of his voice makes me feel bad. So I just can't listen very long. If I am obsessed, I would say that I am probably not obsessed in the way others thought that I am. I'm not addicted to watching him, you know, he just doesn't have the kind of charisma or talent to keep a person like me engaged in a positive way. I feel like, you know, he's only mildly interesting when he loses his cool, and usually he's spewing BS that would make any normal person enraged at his entitlement. And some evenings I'll go in for an hour or so and troll him, but he's not a pleasant listening experience. But as I listened to this idiot in Tonic Server, I thought, why are we putting up with him? Why is our community taking so much entertainment value from this loser who hurts far more people than he actually entertains? He's a leech. He's a parasite, and he is a scourge on this community. How many more people is he supposed to suicide bait? How many more times is he supposed to be able to use his sob story about his court cases and no food in the house as emotional grifting, only to turn right around and head to the dispensary? I mean, he can't use the car anymore. That's gone. How many more autistic women are we supposed to see him abuse? How many times are we supposed to listen to him mock Glenn Lambright's speech impediment because he fancies Glenn is somehow defective compared to him? How many times should he be able to scam his mother's medical rideshare service and make it harder for disabled citizens in Sharon to receive actual medical transportation just so he can bum a ride to buy weed? He and his mother are defrauding the system when they do that. Why should anyone be quiet about that? to placate fucking contrived notions of what is polite and sane. It's not as if they have no other means of transportation. They receive free bus service courtesy of the citizens of Massachusetts. It's just that Connie and Ellen are so tied up with what they perceive Black people do that they think they're too good to ride the bus. But a certain arrogant, didactic asshole from across the pond has decided to label me unhinged. My methods are meant to incite and rally, definitely, and it worked. It's not an obsession, it's a deliberate tactic. Andrew could make a channel, name it Connie Cocksmack, and stream him daily, taunt him with the donos he was getting that Connie wasn't. But Elizabeth K is unhinged. Tonic could restream him with commentary constantly, do all sorts of shit. But Elizabeth K is unhinged. Even my friend Corrosive could host stream after stream about Connie, say the harshest of things in Richard's chat, even go into StreamYards and tell him he deserves every single thing he's going to get, including telling him he deserves to live in a cardboard box for being a junkie. But did you call him unhinged, Shiva? I seriously doubt it. Richard's channel almost completely revolves around Connie content and mocking him. But I am unhinged. Andrew can put up videos of someone deliberately filming him and his mother in public, but I am unhinged. You misogynist, pedantic, moral fagging wet blanket. I am so glad I was in fine arts, lest I think all homosexuals are boring as you tedious fuck. If this community must have a token limey, can't we find one that at least has some charming manners? Anyone? Anyone? Defend, if he's not getting a medical ride, it is defrauding. Just get my name out of your fucking mouth, you woman-hating piece of shit. I haven't been hopping from panel to panel talking shit about you. You are instigating this with me, Shiva. We don't like each other. You don't like women, and I have a real disdain for homosexuals that don't like women as people. I have a real issue with uber liberal bleeding hearts that think I should leave poor little Connie alone. I know what your politics are. It comes through in your xenophobic anti-American attitudes. It means that you don't fully understand this business with this little bum. Don't bother protesting. Nothing you say is going to change my mind. And before you even bother to protest, why don't you ask somebody you really respect what they really think, a man, what they really think of your attitude towards women. Maybe you should ask CC. He's a man. You respect his opinion. So last night, before I finally got sick of the sound of your arrogant mouth, I heard the way you spoke to AC about taking pleasure in, the frustration and anger and suffering of others. The irony of that situation, Shiva, is that moments before, you said you laughed at a porn bomb because it was 10th man that it happened to. Not that I blame you. That was funny as fuck. But it also makes you a judgmental fucking hypocrite of the highest fucking order. I suppose if Connie presses charges against me, Shiva, you'll feel free to put my surname as the title of a video, won't ya? That's your moral compass when you're angry, no? When are you going to have your page panel, Shiva? Huh? How about that? Where you review her court case. How about putting the screws to her about exactly how those redacted pictures Brett used wound up in his hands? Those of us who have been around a long time know how they got out. We know. They got out because a certain drug exhibitionist swinger put them in crud. Paige claimed under oath that she didn't know how those pictures got out. Huh. Better to call me unhinged, huh? Even if I haven't called the cops on Connie, called his lawyer, called the court, called the DA, called Connie or his mother himself. I haven't done any of that. I just helped stop his fleecing of the money of our hard-working people, Shiva, and I don't have to answer to you for any of that. So you can officially get fucked. Let's see. I need to find. Need to put out a link because I'm done with my rant. No, I practiced that twice after I got home. Anyway, let's go ahead. I'll drop the link. And then I will pin it. And I'll just have you know that anybody can come up. But if you are somebody who has a habit of losing control of your emotions and screaming, you'll be dropped. Just fair warning. If you start screaming, you'll be dropped. Some people know I used to be a political activist here in Texas. Some of the techniques that I use to deal with Connie are techniques I use working in the party. I mean, honestly, there are things I can turn off at will. I don't go to bed and think about how I'm going to troll Connie the next day. I don't go to work and get distracted thinking about how I'm going to troll Connie. But when I saw what this little asshole was doing to people, when I really got a good look, because I hadn't watched him more than sporadically before last year, when I really got a good look, I thought somebody should stop him. That that at least we can stop him from fleecing so many people. I saw your video, Blues. He really thinks I just live with Tobers? Really? Little ferret. I hate to disappoint you, boy, but let's see. I have a husband. I've been married for 23 years. I don't live with just my cat. Sorry, buddy. Hate to disappoint you. Why don't you talk to your pal Shelley? She's the one who lives by herself with her animal. Yeah. Let's see. So I'm going to go back up and see who I've missed. Let's see. So we've got Jill Jacks, Sugar Crits, Trumpy. No, I didn't even tune into him this morning. Duff Man. He's Stuff. Boss Bitch. Welcome. Hey, Adjust Your Focus. How are you? Roz Illusion. Welcome. Joe Samuel. Taco. This wasn't a voice chat. I can sing on my panel if I want. women just, we should be proud of ourselves. And we shouldn't let some moralistic, misogynist prig make us feel less than because of it. I'm pretty sure I know who this is.
Hi, I'm Russ's empty wallet. How are you, Liz?
Oh, God. You aren't going to let this drop even from my panel, are you?
Nope. Hey, everybody. Roz's empty wallet here. I had $500 in me at one point, but it's now gone because Roz was chasing some shifty internet gash and gave money away and got ripped off. So if any of you see my $500, give it back and tell Roz he's busted. You're busted. Fucking simp.
Well.
So how are you today?
Peeved.
I kind of got that impression.
Look, I'm not going to stay on your panel if he's there. Look, I let the whole
thing drop.
I
understand that you are allowed to not be where you don't want to be. That's fine. Don't take it personally.
I mean, I let the whole cunt thing drop. As far as I'm concerned, he is instigating this with me, Corrosive, not the other way around.
Yeah, and I don't really understand it. I have never gotten, you know, from the beginning, I've never gotten it. I've never understood why you get up his nose or vice versa so much.
I've told you exactly why he gets up my nose. Exactly why, in great detail, Corrosive. So, you know, he can get bent. He can get fucked. He can go slurp David's face forever for all I care. But I'm not going to be on a panel with him because he does not know. He talks about, you know, I'm only calling out behaviors. Well, do you call women cunts while you call out behaviors? Fuck off. Fuck off. Go get fucked. Don't talk about me. Keep my name out of your nasty, toothless, council estate trash fucking mouth. And yes, that was a low blow. But, you know, he's called me a cunt. He's called me crazy. He can get fucked.
Fair.
So, there's just so much shit going on. I mean, the other night I was up on that panel, I guess it was Tommy D's, and Shelley, she's been trying to deny, you don't have a leg to stand on, Elizabeth K.
Oh, she's fucking unhinged again, too. That goddamn nutcase. She's live today. Run, Mr. P, run. They're trying to take your panel over. I mean, she's not entirely wrong, but then she's sitting there going, if people would just observe the channel owner's code, none of this would have happened. Like, she's still wedded to that insanity. Someone reboot defend. I think he's short-circuiting.
The world doesn't owe him a goddamn thing, or his cheese-og mother.
Nope. Not a word. Not a thing. Not a fucking dime.
And the truth is, all I am doing is just trying to keep this little fucker wrangled until the judge can wrangle him for us. It's easier to just wrangle the little hobo. The only cock she can get, Cece.
And you know he's probably not going to get wrangled. That's what the real thing. That's going to be the real interesting part.
You don't think they're going to do anything to him? I mean,
I think he's going to get probation. He's going to get told to keep his fucking nose clean, and he might get some community service. No, Roz, you simped for the female Connie and gave her $500. You don't get to call me a simp anymore, Roz. You just don't. Think about how many fake roses you could have bought with that $500. You fucking cuck. Busted, Roz. Busted. Richard, shift happens. Female
Yeah, the
Connie.
one, the one Brett's always going off about because of Evil Terry.
I don't see your dollary dues in my cash app. I'm going to silent stream until I get $85.
They're referring to shift happens.
Yep. Shifty. Who I feel like Roz was throwing money at, going, I want to see a picture of your feet with a thong. And he didn't get shit. Maybe stop fixating on Rebel and stop watching his every move all day long, Roz, and go out and meet live human beings in the really real world, and you won't have these problems. And it'll probably cost you less, too. Just saying.
Oh, God.
Yeah, I know you didn't get anything, Roz. You didn't get anything. At least Gregory Jones got fin-domed for his money. You didn't get shit, boy. I love Halloween.
But yeah. Carissa, I just don't think it was fair for all of you men to cover Connie the way you did. And then when I start, I'm crazy.
Yeah, I don't get that point. I don't understand. I mean, I get that he comes across as misogynistic. I can't speak as to whether he actually is or if that's just the way he comes across on the tubes. Because I don't know him, like to not see him here. But yeah, he definitely comes across that way.
He does. Of course he does. He always has. And I'm not going to put up with it.
Well,
I am up for a conversation, Shiva. What I am not up for is shouty, Shiva. If you start shouting, I will drop you. That is the bone of contention we had last year.
Hello, can you hear me? I won't shout. You up for a reasonable conversation, Liz?
Are you? Are you going to call me crazy again?
I didn't call you crazy. I called you unhinged. And in fact, I didn't call you unhinged. I called your community posts unhinged.
A technicality I care not about.
Well, it's a valid one, and I'm sticking by it. A couple of things I thought I'd kind of like to pick your brains on. The misogyny thing, I just reject that outright. I'm just as much of a cunt to blokes as I am to women.
Then why haven't you been a cunt to Corrosive or Richard Cheese or Andrew about their covering of Connie?
The reason being is, I mean, I don't really interact with Richard Cheese at all, to be honest.
You don't interact with me either. You don't interact with me either, Shiva.
We've had interactions
in the past, but not in the past year.
And I've had conversations with Corrosive and Andrew and Tonic, all of them about their unhealthy relationships with Rebel. I also reject that argument as well. And sometimes those, I've been rude in those conversations with those people because
you were rude yesterday and you were rude on Shelley's panel.
I was rude. I'm often rude on Shelley's panel.
And I don't think I should have to take it. I don't.
You're rude as well, right? You were just rude to me, right?
I was.
So you're equally as rude.
I can be, but you know what? I let the whole cunt thing drop after Labor Day. I let it drop. But then again, you had to mention me in your community post yesterday, Shiva. Well, I don't understand.
Because you keep making these unhinged multi-paragraph rants about Rebel and then claiming you don't really care.
They're meant for him. He reads all of them.
Right. Okay. And what do you think you're achieving? Like, what's the aim? Because I think
I've reached the aim. His donuts got dried up, which is why I haven't been in there very much.
Right. Okay. You want to dry up his donations. All right. Fair enough. That is an aim, and you've achieved that aim, have you?
Considering how much emotional grifting he's done about no food in the house and my court fees and this and that.
I get it. He's a dick. He's a cunt. Absolutely.
How many more people is he supposed to dox and threaten and slander?
You would have no disagreement from me on that point whatsoever. But it seems to me
Can you point anything out that is false in my posts about Connie's character?
No, but I haven't made that claim, have I? I haven't claimed that you've uttered falsehood.
So I mean, Corrosive getting up in Connie's backstage telling him he deserves to live in a cardboard box.
Do you know how many conversations? How many conversations do you think I've had with Corrosive?
Well, they weren't on your public community tab, and they weren't calling him a cunt on Shelley's, were they?
Right. I call loads of people cunts. Don't take it personally.
I'm an American woman. I'm going to take it the way I want to take it, and I'm going to take it with the American meaning.
So, I mean, that's a you problem.
And no, I have had this conversation with you multiple times. Times.
I look, if you find a word offensive, I mean, that's not something that I feel that I need to take into consideration. You had no reason to
insult me on that panel, Shiva. I don't go around.
Liz, we've been insulting each other for the last couple of years. What are you talking about?
I don't go from panel to panel with your name in my mouth.
Neither do I. Do you think I go from panel to panel talking about you? Can you provide me an example of that?
Shelley's Labor Day panel.
Right, so that's one example. That's not panel to panel.
It's the most recent one. And again, Shiva, I let it drop, but you just had to start it up again.
Right, okay. Is there any... Right. But like, again, I just want to, you're saying you made the assertion just now that I'm going from panel to panel with your name in my mouth. Can you demonstrate that happening?
Look, you talk about me in the chat. You made little oblique references to me in Corrosive's chat. Don't think I didn't notice it, Shiva.
Are you saying that any reference to you? I don't understand. You are making public. You're making public community posts. Are you saying that people aren't allowed to respond? I thought you wanted to back away from
the drama, Shiva.
I am, but it's a process.
I don't want any more of the drama. I don't want any more of the drama.
Liz,
I'm done with the drama panels. I mean,
okay. I thought you wanted a calm conversation. Can we address one point at a time? And can you stop moving the goalposts, please? Is that acceptable to you? And I'm happy to address that. Like, absolutely. We can talk about that. I don't have a problem with that. But can we do one thing at a time?
Why do you feel it necessary to publicly chastise me and yet privately and politely chastise others?
Oh no, have you not seen my shouting matches with Andrew? I've publicly on Andrew's channel told him what I think about him kind of doxing. I've had conversations with Corrosive on his panel talking about his relationship with Rebel.
I feel like
now
you have
I don't end up
with me and have had for a long time, and I don't know why. And
no, I think it's the other way around.
No,
actually.
No.
From the very first, from pretty much as soon as we met, there seemed to be an antipathy.
That's not true. Not true at all.
Maybe I misread the situation.
Fan of yours, a subscriber and member of your channel.
Well, I obviously misread the situation, but that happens, right? We're all human. We make mistakes.
Is Corrosive still in here? He can back that up for me.
I mean, I don't know. So let's address the misogyny thing, because I think that's a mischaracterization, and here's why.
Well, you could see why I would make that assumption.
Liz, please let me explain my position, and then can you respond to what I'm actually what I've said? So yes, I am very rude to women, right? But I'm also very pro women. So I don't know if you've noticed, but I'm one of the few people in the community who, when other people degrade women for things like their sexual activity or for whatever it is that they're doing, I'm one of the few men in the community who comes out and says, what the fuck are you talking about? This is bollocks. Let's take prostitution, for example. Like, I've never used a prostitute. I never will. But I don't have, I think if you're working in the sex trade, it's an honest living. It's just a transaction between two consenting adults. So,
you remember when I told you that you were the first church I had ever donated money to.
Oh yeah, I do vaguely remember that. Yeah. And look, I get it. I am a rude man. Absolutely. Right. And we can have a conversation about that, and we can
And
talk
see,
about why
I
that
am
is.
not.
Hang on. Right. Yeah, but I am. But it's not personal. Look,
Feels personal when you call me a cunt.
I call lots of people a cunt. I've had
Don't
screaming
care.
matches
This is
with
me you're
Joe
speaking
Cool.
to. I'm not Joe
What?
Cool.
Right. So you're saying that you expect people to modify their language to take your emotional needs into account?
Having been a parent and having had 2 different children, very, very different children, I had to take different approaches in how I dealt with them. So yes.
Right, but
I think different people warrant different kinds of approaches. I do.
Right, but
Always.
we're not related. You're like the relationship that you have with your children is going to be very, very different from the relationship that you have with relative strangers on the internet, right?
You know what? And I'd probably be, you know what? Which would make me be more polite to you until you insult me.
I mean, I insult everyone. It's not personal. I'll tell you when it's personal, right? For me, like when it gets personal, it's the point where I'm saying, I'm not going to engage with you anymore, right? Because that means that at that point, I'm not taking you seriously as a person. I don't respect your intelligence, right? And I actually do respect your intelligence. You're a fairly intelligent person as far as I can tell, right? So, I do actually respect that. Sorry, I just lost my train of thought there. It's kind of getting on here, and I had an early start.
Do you think you can imagine? Do you think maybe that there might be some cultural gap between your attitude about Connie's entitlement and mine? Because I do have a very American attitude towards his entitlement. Towards his entitlement attitude. Y'all are going to pay. You need to pay for us a new house. You owe us my mom a new car. You owe us everything, because he said that. See, you haven't paid any attention at all, and I don't blame you, because he's a boring fuck. He is.
So in order to hang on, you asked me a question. Can I answer your question? Yes, I think there is a cultural difference. There's also a cultural difference with the use of the word cunt.
I know there is, but I've also told you how any American woman is going to take that. I told you that 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah, but that's on them. Look, okay.
It's also on your mouth to
yeah. But if you, when I say words, what's happening is it's just sounds, and then you're having an emotional reaction to the sound. But when you get offended, that only happens in your mind, and the only person who is experiencing any suffering
about
from
the things that I have said to this kid that you find offensive, Shiva, and I can't.
It's not so much. I think it's more that. I think maybe it's because I recognize the fact that you're an intelligent person. I just kind of don't understand it. I don't understand it. I think that's the kind of issue. And whenever I try to engage you in a conversation about it, you don't seem to want to engage. And I get, like I can be a very difficult person to engage with, and that's on me.
I'm not trying to not engage you. I'm just trying to figure out why you think it's such a problem. I think
it's a problem for you. I mean, look, it's not a problem for me.
Shiva, you accused me of being unhinged, and you are a person who's had more than one actual mental breakdown on a YouTube stream.
Well, hang on. I had anxiety attacks on a YouTube stream, but yeah, I'm mentally ill. I don't try and hide that. I don't make excuses.
I've never hid it. See, you have had so many attitudes about my thoughts on Connie and why I feel the way he does, but
it's only one attitude.
You couldn't be arsed to watch any of my previous panels and find out why I felt.
I try to engage you in look. If I want to find out why somebody is doing something, what I'm not going to do is watch a video where I can't interact with the person. Like I'm a fairly hands-on kind of guy. Like someone once described me as being not afraid to get my hands dirty with people.
Well,
And
and the reason
it's
I did not
because
engage with you that night on corrosives is because number one, I don't always want to talk about Connie. Contrary to popular belief, I don't. And I didn't want to talk about him that night. And I didn't want to hijack Cece's panel because I knew he did not want to talk about him.
and similarly, I don't want to run you off Corrosive's panel because I know that you two are friends. And I like Corrosive. You are right. I haven't had
You
particularly
haven't
aggressive
had the
or
same attitude toward him
hang on, let
that
me
you have
finish,
had
Liz.
towards me.
Liz, let me get my statements out. Look, I haven't had the same sorts of conversations with Corrosive that I've had with you, but I would put it to you that Corrosive has responded in a not necessarily positive, but a more creative way than you have in relation to me. And so I feel fairly confident that actually I can criticize Corrosive, and that we might disagree like on my criticism of him, but that he's not going to get super offended by it. Similarly, if Corrosive were to level a criticism at me, because I respect Corrosive's opinion, I would actually give what he says. I would probably give what Corrosive says much more weight than 98% of the people in this community. So yeah, I do have a different relationship with Corrosive than I have with you.
And have you ever thought
Sorry?
that maybe one of the reasons that Corrosive is friends with me is because he has a high level of respect for not only my intelligence, but also for my opinions and my judgment?
I tend not to think about why people form relationships with other people because it's a fairly mysterious process and I don't fully understand it.
Well, be assured that is the case.
I mean, yeah, no, I've no doubt that I mean, Corrosive seems a fairly astute person. Yeah, like I'm not. I think part of my frustrations is that yes, I get that I'm rude, and probably like if you're not up for that, then maybe and I'm in that sort of mood, right? And I get that I do get in those moods, and that's entirely on me. That's my responsibility. That's actually a failure of Buddhist practice, which nobody seems to pick up on. But fair enough. Like, yeah.
That's also kind of a cultural gap too. I mean, I'm from Texas where we are hailed for being very, very polite. What I did tonight and ripping you apart verbally is
You
not
didn't
my
rip me apart. It was mildly
normal.
entertaining.
Oh, fuck off, Shiva. You know what I
It
meant.
was. Look, okay. I reject the accusation that
It
I am
feels like it
misogynistic.
though. It
That's
feels like it.
because it's directed at you. But ask
But I've
ask
also
anyone
seen the
else.
way you talk to other women. And plus,
Have you?
there's
What
also
about the
the
way?
fact that you did
What
not
about?
have a chance, sir, to have a positive mindset regarding women. You never had a chance to have that.
That's simply not true.
Really?
How much do you
Really?
know about? Yeah. How much do you know
And
about my life?
I know enough that the one woman who
How
should
much
have
do you know
never
about?
betrayed you did in the worst possible way.
Yeah, but what about the other women in my life? Do you think that my mother is the only woman who has ever been in my life? Come
And
on, Liz,
that
that's
doesn't influence
unfeasible.
the way you view women, Shiva?
I'll have you know that the two people that I view as my, if you like, greatest spiritual teachers were both women. Like, as in the ones who pushed me along let's call it the Buddhist path, even though I kind of hate that sort of language, right? But like they were women. The idea that I understand that if you're a woman and then you've got me coming at you, it might seem like I don't like
And
women,
did you hear
right? But
Corrosive say that your actions seemed that way to other
seemed,
people as well?
yeah, seemed.
Maybe you should look at how you're projecting.
Well, no, absolutely. We can have a conversation about that, but I want you to acknowledge that I am the same with men, and that if I treat men and women the same, that cannot be called misogyny. Can you do that?
Maybe.
Because
But
from my
but
perspective,
I
that's
think I am just I'm going to tell you,
Mhm.
there are just, you wanted to know why I felt the way I did. You wanted to know why I don't understand why you have such a bug up your ass.
I mean, that's a
Because
very American way of putting it, but yeah.
that's the
It's
way
not, no,
you
no,
no, that's the way you put it, sir.
a
That's the
bug
way you
up
put it on
your
Corrosive's
a,
pants.
a bug up your ass is not a phrase that I believe I've ever
You
uttered.
said a bug. You said a bug something on Corrosive's panel when I was
Maybe
up
you,
there, and you said you didn't know why. But that's neither here nor there.
I mean,
Look,
maybe you misheard, or maybe I didn't speak clearly but maybe I did say that and I don't remember. But okay. So look, like I've had screaming matches with blokes where I've been horrendously rude to them, like like where I've been, screaming at the top of my voice that they're a fucking dirty low down motherfucker. Is that misandry if I do that?
I'm just going to tell you, I just cannot separate the word cunt as anything as that's what you are and that's all you're good for.
No, that's not how I think. Sorry,
I
look,
just can't. When
I'm
I
not.
hear that word used towards a woman, it
Right.
is as an American woman, you need to, you want us to respect your Buddhism, you want us to respect cultural
No,
differences.
I don't care
Respect
if you
mine,
respect Buddhism.
Shiva.
Hang on, Liz. Please don't tell me what I want. You can ask me. I don't care if you respect Buddhism. It makes no difference to me. It has no impact on my life whatsoever. And yeah.
You don't
It,
even,
I mean,
look,
I actually
I'm gonna
don't.
talk for a minute.
I don't require anyone's respect in this community.
Well, I don't require yours, and I don't require your opinion of whether I'm sane or insane or hinged or unhinged. I do not require that. However, if you say such things about me when I have instigated nothing with you, count on me
Right.
saying something about it.
Right. Are you instigating things with Rebel?
Abso-fucking-lutely. And you know what? You've never
Right.
once heard me cry about him saying shit back about me.
Well, I mean, what about your community posts?
Never heard me cry about it. If he has stuff to
Well,
say
when
to
you
me
say
about me
cry,
on his panel, you don't hear me complaining about him,
right,
saying,
complaining.
insulting
Okay.
me, asking for my docs, threatening me. You don't hear me crying when I say too much fuck shit to Connie and he strikes back. You don't hear me doing that.
It's interesting that you put it that way. When you say too much fuck shit to Connie and he strikes back.
I mean, look, I don't think you realize what it was like to be me.
No, I can't.
Don't be so literal, please.
I mean, no, literally, I can't know what it's like to be anyone. Because
when I first got exposed to everyday Connie streams, which was not exactly a choice I consciously made, all I could hear was this idiot talking about how he can't, his mental illness, and it was at odds with the other things he was saying. You want to condemn me to McDonald's. So what he was doing in my eyes was using, I have a mental illness as a crutch for not growing up and taking responsibility for his actions and himself. And
I would not disagree with you.
As a mother of a child
Right.
with paranoid schizophrenia, Shiva,
Right.
I raised a child with schizophrenia. She was diagnosed at 12. At 12.
That must have been very difficult.
You have no idea.
Well, I do actually. I've lived with people with paranoid schizophrenia.
Well, if like I said, you know, he talks about, you haven't been through what I've been through. Well, I wonder if if a loved one of his has ever attacked him like a rabid dog. Huh?
Yeah, his mum hasn't he? I mean, his mum beat him
Well,
up on camera.
that wasn't. No, come on, that doesn't count. I mean, literally, like a rabid dog, Sheba, teeth, Sheba,
What, like biting him?
teeth. I raised a child with schizophrenia, and to hear this little punk talk about how he can't in one moment, and then talk about how I'm not working for McDonald's, I'm not slinging burgers, I'd rather die than get paid $20 an hour to do. It flew all over me. I don't like it. I think he sucks. I think he's an ungrateful little fuckwipe. And as a mother of a child with schizophrenia and 2 other invisible illnesses, my daughter has made so many strides and has worked for everything she has, and has made moves in her life to go back to school in the hopes that she can go to work. And this little fuck won't even try.
I mean, I can appreciate how that would trigger an emotional response in you. And I wasn't aware that you had a child who had mental health issues. So now that I am aware of that, your attitude towards Rebel is more understandable. But I'm going to be honest with you, Liz. I think the entire community's relationship with Rebel is fucked.
I'm ready for him to go, Shiva.
Are you? I mean,
I'm ready
like
for him to go. See, the
the
thing is,
the community isn't, no, Liz. The community isn't. The
Aw.
community loves Rebel because
some of them are and some of them aren't.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I'm
You,
obviously speaking in generalization.
as somebody who did spearhead the effort to dry up Rebel's donations, and I do cop to that. I have admitted it from the beginning,
Right.
Shiva, because he is a scammer. He's scamming not only the taxpayers of Massachusetts, he has scammed people in this community. And when you take medical rides for extracurricular trips, that's scamming your benefits that you receive from the state. And I just, oh God, now I forgot what I was going to say.
Yeah, so I'm having the same issue.
I mean, I realize I want him to go. I want him to go. And there are more people behind the scenes after what I did with his donations. I can tell you for a fact that there are more people that feel the way I do, as opposed than feeling the way Andrew does. I don't want Connie to go anywhere. I like his misery. There are more people that feel the way I do, Shiva.
Where do you want him to go?
Well, he was offered a plea deal. You realize?
No. I mean, yeah, but when you say
that involved a year off social media,
right? So you just don't want him on social media.
Actually, you know what? I just want him to not fleece our community. That's what I want. I want him to stop grifting. He needs to either apply for assistance or search employment and take what he gets in donations. That's the way I started. That's the way I started. You don't know how I started with Connie. The thing I started out with him. Actually, no. And you know what? Let me move on. Let me get to it. Just I'm a stoner. Sometimes I need to get around to this. Yeah. Okay.
And I'm not smoking at the moment. I'm on a no smoking kick.
Well, it made it where I could go back to work.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, I know actually I am ragging on weed. I think it's really, really, really bad for people, but I'm not saying people shouldn't smoke it because I've smoked it my entire adult life. Right?
Let me put it this way. It's not nearly as bad as the 3 other psych meds that put 100 pounds on me that I have spent the last year and a half losing.
No. Yeah.
I mean, I've lost all but 20 pounds the weight.
Do you think, because I don't think, what I think is going to happen is that the Rebel situation, i.e., Rebel just being Rebel, is just going to go on forever. He's not going to stop. He's not going to. I'm not sure he's capable of changing.
I don't think he is either. And that's what I meant to get to with you. One of the things that you don't know is how I started out with him. I started out being nice to him. Mm-hmm. I would go into his chat and I would talk to him and I would try to tell him things. And I would even call him Rebel Shiva. Can you believe that?
I mean, I don't have an issue with calling him Rebel. It's just
I do. The only thing he rebels against is employment applications and taking responsibility. So I have issues with that.
Mm-hmm.
But I started out nice with him. Do you know why Rebel doesn't remember that? Because there were no donations forthcoming with the kindness. But there are other people that remember.
Rebel, I don't think Rebel is interested in kindness. I don't think he's interested in people being kind to him, Liz. He's interested in people giving him money.
Yeah, he's interested in being the victim. And
do you think there's an argument to be made that he is a victim?
In some ways. But as is with the case with Shelley, although in Connie's case, it's to a much more extreme degree. There are slides both real and imagined.
Yeah. Look, Liz, I'm in the future. I will refrain from using foul language to insult you. I will make a concerted effort. Like if I get annoyed, I might call you an idiot or a moron or something.
Even though I'm not one?
Yeah. Don't worry. I call everyone a moron. I'm an idiot. It's fine. We're all idiots. Don't worry about it.
Well, everybody has moments of everybody has bad moments. And you know what? I took a month off from messing with Connie, mostly because I didn't like having to bother with him. He's boring, Shiva. But this community has been through enough at his hands.
I mean, this community instigates the stuff that Rebel does.
He has made it harder for people that need help for necessities to get help when the things come up.
What do you mean?
It just makes people are just so much more suspicious with every new grifter. You remember how you went off and went all shouty Shiva when all those thousands of dollars Virgo ran off with got unearthed?
Yeah, I don't like scammers. And look, I'm not. I think I don't agree with what Rebel does. Like, I mean, I think if you're just begging on YouTube and you're being honest about it, fine. I don't particularly like it, but I don't have an issue with it. But yeah, like I don't agree with.
Money, he retaliates.
Well, yeah, because
he threatens.
Yeah. But then
he threatened. Voodoo Queen started Odessa. A couple of Connie's last donors, Voodoo Queen. She is a woman who grew up in Louisiana, poor, pulled herself up, got her degree, became a business professional, makes good money, made a life for herself. And because after she had given $2,000 to Connie over a certain period of time, as soon as she said, I can't, he turned on her. He threatened her job. Shiva.
He's done this, yeah.
Why should we tolerate that? Why should we tolerate it, though?
Because, look, Liz, I mean, I suppose for me, it's not a question of us tolerating it. People instigate Rebel. Some people apparently pay him money to start shit, right?
Yes, and I've had my shit to say about that, too. I've had it both to say to Connie for whoring himself out for it and to the others for paying him to do it.
So, I mean, like, it seems to me, and I get it, like if you're sick of Rebel, I mean, fine, my advice would be don't watch him and then he won't impact your life, right? But, like, it seems to me that And I'm obviously I'm speaking in generalities here. So, you know, if this doesn't apply to whoever you are, then it doesn't apply. Right? But it seems to me that there's this weird thing that happens with Rebel where people simultaneously decry what he does whilst at the same time provoking him to do what he does. So, and I think it's so that they can then decry what he does.
And see,
Uh,
I just want him to shut up. To shut
Yeah,
up.
but
Stop being such an entitled little fuck. If my approach with him has been different from that of Brett or Andrew or Tonic, it was deliberate. It was deliberate. Because what I did it on purpose, Shiva. I mean, there were a lot of people behind the scenes that wanted something done about him, that were sick of him.
right, all they had to do is stop watching him, and then he doesn't impinge on their consciousness.
But in the meantime, he was suckering in new people and giving them money and screwing them over and doxing and threatening and harassing.
So are you going to do this until he dies? Because he's going to carry on doing it, right?
I've been kind of resting off and on because my work's pretty much done, Shiva. You can't.
I mean, no, it isn't. It isn't, because like when this blows over, and it will, Rebel's just going to go back to doing what he does. Like Corrosive said, he's probably not going to get a custodial sentence, right? He's probably going to get community service and a fine and some sort of, you know, slap on the wrist or whatever. And then
One
he's
of the
going to go
things
back
he
to
was
being-
offered in his plea deal was suspension from social media, though. What if they do that to him? He'll be gone.
Yeah, but only for what, a year? And then he'll be
I mean,
back,
even
right?
Andrew has said that he thinks Connie's going away for a while. Not as
mean,
going away as in jail, but going away as in the recruit treatment.
Right, yeah. But, you know, look at what happened with Rick Rude. He came back and he was just Rick Rude again, wasn't he? Like, so, I don't know, part of me, I kind of wonder. Yeah, I don't
Why
know.
take breaks?
Yeah, it's why I've been stepping back from the drama. And I admit that I'm up here with you, but we seem to be having a very reasonable conversation, not a dramatic one. So.
Well, I'm a reasonable person, Shiva. You know, I know that I was probably coming across as very strident with my posts, but that was very deliberate because Connie does not respond to nice. What he responds to is down and dirty. And you know what? I have gotten him. You talk about what have I accomplished? I've gotten him to rage quit his panels and stop begging all day on some occasions.
Right. I mean, that's really short term. Are you going to do that for the rest of your life?
No.
Like at some point, I think don't.
But
I think
eventually he will move on and try to find a new community to grift from.
Yeah, of course he will.
And then they'll be his problem. He'll be their problem and not mine.
He's not your problem now. He's your problem now because you're choosing to make him your problem, isn't he?
Well, he's my community's problem. Or our community's problem. I'm not saying it's my community. I'm not saying that. You know that.
I mean, I still I still think that the community loves him. And I get that I say that and people go, what are you talking about?
More people feel the way I do behind the scenes than you think, Shiva. I'm telling you the truth of it. No maybe about it. How do you think I was able to get so many people to join and come after him and to tell people, don't donate to him, don't donate to him, don't donate to him. This is what will happen. I
don't think that was down to you. I think that was down to a whole bunch of people.
That started off small a year ago. You don't know. You don't know.
No, it started out. No. It started out way before that when Masshole Kate introduced him to the community, right? I mean, in fact,
that's when the whole donation train started with him. He showed up. God damn you, Kate, why did you do this to us? But I have days where I get bored and I don't want to deal like today. Today was one of those days. I didn't go to Richard Cheese's all day, or well, I don't even know how long he was live, but I didn't go there all day. And I didn't post today on my community tab either. So, I mean, it's not something I have to do. It's not. But you know what? Yeah, it flew all over me. I haven't denied being triggered by the little ferret and his entitlement. I haven't denied that at all, ever.
Right. Okay.
Um,
Yeah. And now that we've had this conversation, I've got a much better understanding of why he triggers you so much. And because I have that better understanding, I'll modify my approach in the future.
I mean, if you had a child that you saw hospitalized no fewer than 10 times between age 11 and 18,
Mm-hmm.
and that's a conservative estimate on my part, Shiva.
Mm-hmm.
My daughter is literally the sickest person I've ever seen that didn't need to be locked up indefinitely. And it was just frankly a miracle. My daughter and I searched and searched for a psychiatrist to prescribe her Haldol because she had tried atypical antipsychotic after atypical antipsychotic after atypical, and she never achieved anything besides this white knuckled type of sanity.
Right.
And we finally found a doctor to prescribe Haldol, and it was like a magic bullet. And after being through that for so many years with her, I just don't have a lot of patience for I can't work because I'm mentally ill. I mean, Shiva, before you and I had our issues, you and I used to have conversations about our PTSD. I once told you that I had PTSD so bad that I had actually blacked out on a couple of occasions.
Yeah, I mean, I have, panic attacks and seizures. I mean, I've not had a seizure in well over a year. Yeah, and I'm firmly of the opinion that you don't get to use, one doesn't get to use mental illness as an excuse for one's own behavior. But I think when we're talking about other people, it can be slightly different.
Yes,
so I've got a question.
Test TV. I'm not going to take this down. So if you're going to porn bomb me.
Hello, Elizabeth K.
God.
No, Truth Wanker's not on my panel.
He makes me embarrassed to be from Britain.
And you know what?
So
honest to God, Shiva, I think that's one of the funnier things you've said in a while.
What, Truth Wanker? Or there was something else that you mentioned. You mentioned bringing up an interaction that I had with AC on Croesus and how that was that indicated that I was a hypocrite. And you said that you kind of bounced around that time, so maybe you didn't hear. Like, I draw a distinction between Schadenfreude, which is the kind of, I mean, I suppose it's the malicious enjoyment of another person's misfortune, but I think that's different from actively trying to induce an unpleasant emotional state in another person. So I think, like, because we all have that thing where someone can, slip on a banana skin and fall down and bang their head, and we laugh, right? Not necessarily because, well, yeah, because it's funny, even though there's a person who might be in pain, right? But I think that's different from, say, placing the banana skin on the ground to make the person slip. And I think
how do I disable the link?
In terms of YouTube, I think you click on the three dots.
I'm talking about
dismiss the pin message.
I'm talking about the disabling the StreamYard link.
Yeah, if you click the three dots and then hit dismiss message. But if he has the link now, he has the URL, right? So
yes.
Yeah. So I suppose the thing about the conversations that I have with people where I'm asking them questions like, why are you doing this? Like, what's going on? It's not that I'm trying to, like, create a trap or make them look bad, or like, I'm actually just trying to get a deeper understanding of them as an individual. Like, and that you could say, well, you don't have the right to know all that, or that's stupid, you don't need to do that, this is a community of trolls, yada yada yada. But it's just kind of how I am. I'm kind of somewhat obsessed with not so much what people do, but why they do what they do. And yeah.
And now you know why some of the things that Connie has said, because it has just been in the past 18 months that I have basically recovered from raising my daughter. My daughter is about to turn 26.
And is your daughter doing well at the moment?
My daughter is a wife and a mother. She's going to school and she's doing extremely well. My daughter is what you call the model. One of her doctors said that she was like the model compliant patient.
Okay.
So just
there is a big difference between Rebel and your daughter, though, which I think perhaps you're not taking into account in a way that.
What, that my daughter's mother didn't love heroin more than.
Essentially, or I mean, I'm not going to make any direct statements about Rebel's mother that I don't know the truth of, but it would.
Oh, well, considering Rebel himself has said that she used heroin for 16 years.
Right. So so you have two individuals who have, I mean, or at least Rebel is claiming he has mental health issues. I don't know if he does, but he certainly seems a bit bonkers, right? But one of the individuals who has mental health issues has a supportive parent, and the other individual who has mental health issues doesn't have a supportive parent. And so, I get that if you have a relative or close friend or whatever who's going through stuff and they're actually working with it, it can be very frustrating to see someone who doesn't appear to be working with it in the same way. But it could just be that they're actually simply not capable of doing that because they don't have the tools to do that.
And you know what? I would tend to agree with you. I think Connie is actually irretrievably broken. I do not think that he will ever be able to have any modicum of self-sufficiency. But
yeah, no, I'd
one of the reasons,
agree with you.
But I have asked him, why don't you try for applying for assistance? Do you know what his answer to me was?
No.
Well, I don't exactly feel motivated to do that, considering I'm not getting any donos, I'm not smoking any weed. It just, you people don't make me feel motivated to do that.
Oh my God, way to abdicate responsibility. I think he'd probably
I told you, the only thing he rebels against is employment applications and taking responsibility.
I kind of think he'd maybe do a lot better if he kicked the weed.
And I think it stokes his paranoia.
Yeah, I'd be inclined to agree with you.
I mean,
I think it certainly stoked his paranoia when he thought people were DDoSing him.
He thinks people are actively trying to kill him, Shiva.
Now, do you think he actually believes that, or do you think that's a kind of narrative that he's spinning?
You know what? I think it might be a narrative that he's spinning, because I think that this whole "I'm suing all of you people" is his Hail Mary. I'm sorry, I used an American term.
It was a Christian term.
No, it wasn't. It was not a Christian term. It was an American football term. It's called a Hail Mary pass.
I don't know what that is.
It's where you say a Hail Mary when you throw the ball that can potentially save the game.
Right. Okay.
It's like, oh my God. It's like, watching British footy and looking through the peep crack of your fingers. I don't know. It's an American phrase. But I think that this is his last stand for a payday. And I think he has whipped himself up into thinking it's going to happen.
I mean, and that's obviously delusional, right? I mean,
it's extremely delusional because he has made, oh my God, the business on the ground at Stoughton was his upbringing at play. He even talked about it later on, about how his mother told him, if the police put his hands on, get on the ground, call an ambulance. You can almost hear her telling him, don't let that opportunity for a payday go to waste, Costa. And I think everything with them, I think he might even be a third generation grifter, not just a second one. Because, and I'd never heard it. I'd never listened to him for a long enough period of time at a time to hear him and his mother egging themselves on behind the scenes. I'm more the drive-by type of listeners. I'll fling some insults at him and go back to my thing.
I mean, I'm going to be honest. The first time that I met Rebel, he was on my panel, and I'd kind of been aware of him for a few months, but I wasn't really interested in the Rebel Roadshow. And then people were accusing him of grooming a teenager, and then they showed the evidence, and the evidence was kind of weak, to be honest. And so I said, "That's weak-ass evidence. What are you doing?" And then Rebel went off on me, and I was like, "You do realize I'm the only one on this panel defending you, right?" It was like,
he didn't care.
Yeah, I don't care.
He doesn't care.
And
his idea of having his back is not defending him; it's giving him money. Yeah. He said so. Well, that's basically his reasoning. He's for having my back is his euphemism for give me money. So
I mean, realistically, what do you think the options are for Rebel? Because I'm going to be honest, I wouldn't fucking hire Rebel.
I wouldn't.
And I would imagine that if for some reason he did get hired, he'd get fired pretty fucking quickly.
Yeah, even if it wasn't, even if somebody from this community didn't call and fuck up a job for him, and believe me, Shiva, you have no idea how nuclear I would go if Rebel were to go get a job and then somebody from this community called and harassed him and fucked that up for him. You have no idea
that
how
would
nuclear.
happen, right?
Well, yeah, we've talked. I have spoken with others about that, and I think it's grossly unfair. However, I also think that Connie's kind of made that bet himself. If he had gone and got a job at 12 to 18 months ago, that might not have been the case. But I don't think he's capable, even if he didn't get screwed over by this community in the workplace. The minute somebody reprimanded him, told him, well, maybe you should do it this is the way you're supposed to do it, or this is the way you're supposed to do this, or they told him, hey, I need you to go clean up the bathrooms before we close, or you know what I mean, Shiva. And yeah. he would start screaming. He would, if you reprimanded him or corrected him even nicely, it would become a threat on his life. I'm the lowest class citizen on staff, and you're prejudiced against me. Because he cannot take any sort of dissenting opinion. He cannot accept it. And, that's one of the reasons why he was banning everybody from his chat, because he just wants a bunch of yes men.
Well, I mean, it's kind of the same story with a lot of the morons, isn't it? They want echo chambers.
What the fuck is up with this truth finder guy?
Is he? He's
Well,
kind of
there was like
obsessed with
10
me.
of he was just
I
like
don't know
10 of them
why.
in my there was like 8 of them in my backstage and making all this crap in the private chat. It's just like, ugh.
Just for the people in YouTube, there's like 150 odd messages in private chat of just truth wankers spamming
Yes.
random letters.
Yeah, it's not even coherent. And that is a picture of Rada, and I am not letting it up. Rada would not come up with his own avatar. You're not coming up here with avatars of other people. And guess what, Truth Finder? You're not coming up here. What an idiot.
Yeah, he does seem to be lacking in the intelligence department.
I don't understand. But yeah. But now you know why I've been mad about Connie and the way
Yeah, I still
treated
don't think
people.
I still don't think it's healthy for you, but I have a much better understanding of it.
Well, I wouldn't be alone then, Shiva,
appreciation.
would I?
No. And look,
I mean,
don't get me. I think Rebel is toxic in that I think he has an adverse effect on other people's states of minds.
why do you think I stopped listening to him so much? The
Yeah.
last panel I hosted before that, I had told him, I had told my audience that, you know, that it's not that easy to keep a can-do attitude when you have nothing but can't in your ear.
Yeah.
And when I rebuilt my life, because some of the things you also have to understand, Shiva, that some of my outrage has not just been on behalf of my child. It's been on behalf of myself. If you're aware of my story, then I mean, I spent several years pretty much nearly catatonic because I just, after my daughter married, I kind of checked out for a while.
Yeah, but not, I mean, I think not everyone has the emotional tools to be able to do that. Like I didn't until I came across meditation. And in fact, until my second retreat, which was a silent meditation retreat, which was either a mistake or an accidental stroke of genius, because I did have a breakthrough.
I was very methodical about my when I basically rebuilt my life last year, and I redid everything. I got a new job. I had a job before, but I went to a new job. I decided that I should not be around people at all. That the best job for me would be something where I could stick my earbuds in, zone out at my computer, and do what I need to do.
Mm-hmm.
And I was absolutely correct. It was a very good move on my part. I don't need people in my face plucking at me and making me frustrated. But I mean, I checked out for a while after my daughter married, and it was just, it took me a long time to kind of recover from all that.
I mean, it does take a long time. I mean, I would still say that I'm still in a state of recovery, and I'll probably be in a state of recovery for the rest of my life. And I think if you've had to work with mental health issues, then I mean, especially if you've had to work with them for a long time, then you probably are going to have to work with them for the rest of your life, aren't you? I mean,
of course. I mean, I am lucky enough that I've been in breakthrough for over a year. And I have zealously protected that state of mind to the point of turning off Connie when necessary.
it's one of the reasons why I've kind of stopped engaging in drama, because it has an adverse effect on my states of mind. I've noticed that, like, and the one thing that I will definitely like if you wanted to criticize me for being rude, I would have no argument with you there. My language usage has definitely gotten coarser over
It's
the last
not that.
few years.
Oh Lord, it's not the language so much.
It's
just
it's the
I
insults.
felt singled out, Shiva, because I mean I haven't seen you coming after other people. It just seems like you've had shitty things to say about the things I've had to say to Connie.
What?
And
That's not true. I mean, just because you haven't seen it doesn't mean that it hasn't happened, Liz. Like, people used to say this to me about Andrew all the time. They're like, why don't you ever call Andrew out? I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? I mean,
well, I
I'll
mean, I
stop.
know you stopped
I'll,
watching him because he covered Connie all the time. I do remember you telling him that.
what, and the doxing? My biggest bone of contention with Andrew is the doxing. I think the restreaming of Rebel is kind of, weak, and I'm not really up for streams that are just merely restreaming
I see,
other
and I'm not
streams.
either. But if I've got
Yeah.
something to say, I'm going to say it. It's just I don't with him. I think you're right. And you were talking about, would you hire him? Absolutely not. I've seen more than one person in a chat go, why don't you look for a dispensary job? Okay, all right. Just so let's think about that for a minute. Let's think about that for a minute. You want the likes of Connie representing the modern marijuana industry in America that is desperately trying to break the image of loser bum stoner who doesn't work. Because in America, Shiva, there's still a lot of people who think of weed smokers as just losers who don't contribute to society, counterculture fucks,
Well, I mean, I think America still has a strong puritanical streak, doesn't it?
In some ways, yeah. It kind of vacillates between puritanical and ridiculously liberal to the point of idiocy.
Yeah. Yeah. We don't
You
really
can't
have the,
argue that. You can't argue that.
we don't really have the puritanism over here. We have, but we definitely do have the rather strange blue-haired SJWs.
Well, I mean, can anybody tell me what the hell a plus is?
No, I can't. This is, this doesn't put me in good standing with the LGBTQIA plus community.
LMNOP, QRS, yeah.
But I kind of resent the fact that gays and trans have just been kind of lumped together as one demographic, because it
Because it's
seems
not
to
the
me,
same thing. It's not the same
yeah,
thing.
yeah, it's like very different issues, right?
I mean, you're talking about somebody that's hardwired to like the same sex and somebody that has gender dysphoria.
Oh, I don't think it's hardwired. There was a choice for me. I'm not saying
I
that's the same
think
for
I think
anyone else.
most people that are homosexual are hardwired.
There was a
And
definite period when I was a teenager when I could have gone either way. Definitely. And it seemed like, sorry to get a bit kind of coarse, but when I was a teenager engaging in masturbatory fantasies, they would feature people of both sexes, but I kind of chose to go with blokes. Like, there was definitely a kind of choice, almost like a decision. Saying that to other gay people, though, tends to get me into a lot of trouble.
well, you know what?
They don't like hearing that.
See, I am not going to make any judgments about your particular situation, Shiva, but I really do believe that the vast majority of homosexuals are hardwired that way. I have known a lot that from the time that they were a child, you could tell something was just a little different about them. that they didn't, that I have a cousin that was like that too. You could always tell. I just don't think that nature makes mistakes.
I mean, I don't know what that means.
Nature
doesn't have
in
a
terms of
consciousness.
sexuality, I mean, no.
I still don't know what that means. Nature doesn't make decisions. It just happens.
That's a very, that, like I said, sometimes you are a little literal, and that, well, no, sometimes you are a lot literal.
I'm
And
a
I'm
very
not.
literal person, unless I'm writing poetry or doing
And
something creative.
and a lot of times I find hyper literalism frustrating
I think
because it's, I don't know, just.
Shall I tell you why it is, why I'm so obsessed with language? It's because when I was a child, I had a really bad stutter, like really, really, really bad, like every other word. And I still have problems with certain combinations of hard consonants like M, D's, and N's. So I sometimes find it difficult to say the word meditation. There you go. There was a little kind of hitch there. But what that meant was that as a child, it was impossible for me to communicate effectively.
Truth Finder with all his anti-Israel shit in my basement.
Is he still there? Oh my God. Another
Jesus
150. He's like, just to inform the chat, there was another 150 messages, and he just appears to be rapidly spamming letters.
But I just, now you understand. Now you understand a little more. And you know what? If trolling Connie constantly, I'm not saying that it's not bad for me. I've said so on my panel, Shiva. But on the other hand, he's hurt a lot of people, and that upset me a lot.
I mean, right, but you're kind of friends with people who have hurt a lot of people. Do you have similarly strong feelings about them?
Yeah.
Okay, that's fair.
It's not that I couldn't forgive Rebel were he to make changes in his life. But he's not interested in that. He thinks he is correct in all things. He thinks he has done nothing wrong. He thinks he has brought none of what has happened to him on himself.
And, obviously that's a delusion.
Of course it is.
Because, like I know that earlier I suggested that perhaps people instigate Rebel to kind of be Rebel, but ultimately we are all responsible for our own actions.
But I mean, have you noticed ever since last week when he was unable to raise money for so much as a pack of cigarettes, he really stopped streaming. He hasn't been streaming much this week. Have you noticed?
No, I don't watch him, Liz. I'm not interested in him.
Well, I was just seeing what Sugar Crits put in chat. I didn't even go looking for him today when I was at work. Because like I said, usually I don't like having him as white noise in my ear while I'm working. I'd rather listen to another panel that's, actually engaging, conversation, where there's actual conversations happening. Not just, rare. I hate all you community fucks, give me money.
But they're pretty rare, to be honest, Liz. One of the reasons why I kind of am withdrawing from the drama is partly because I listen to this on headphones, right? So if I'm on a panel or if I'm watching a YouTube stream, what I have is people screaming in my ear. And I think it was round about when the P's started streaming that I kind of noticed that I was just finding it really unpleasant. But at the same time, I was still drawn to engage in it, right? Like I think what we do here is strange and a bit insane. Like, I think we're all nuts because we're doing this, right? And it's like, not this, like this conversation seems to be a very human, reasonable conversation. I'm very glad that we're having it. But in like,
to be honest, Shiva, all of my panels are like that.
I don't think I've watched any of your panels, but that's partly because I'm aware that there's been this antipathy towards us, and yeah, I can be quite pokey, but
and my not explaining it to you that night on Corrosives was not a matter of not wanting to explain it to you. It was a matter of he was trying to have a rebel free panel.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
And if I am obsessed, it's not been with watching him and watching everything he does. It's been with trying to get a foothold on his behavior and how he treats people.
I don't think you can. I think you're wasting your energy, honestly. Because look, even if let's assume all the donations dry up, right? What's going to happen? He's going to move on to another community, and he's just going to be doing the same stuff there.
Well, I did tell him that. I told him that YouTube was not going to be profitable for him. I told him that he was not the first person who had tried, and that things that he had done had made it even less profitable for himself. Corrosive, there are like 10 people back here. All of them are
another 150 comments from Truthfinder.
And I can't get him out of here. He won't stop coming up here.
Is he coming up with different accounts?
Yes, he keeps on coming up. I keep banning him from the studio and he keeps coming up. Motherfucker. Corrosive, are you backstage?
Have you when you're taking a break from this, do you miss it?
No.
That's weird, because I kind of do. Like, and I'm aware that this is irrational, because I'm aware that it's adversely affecting me, but still it's like, I mean, it's a bit like a drug, right? It kind of gives you all the little dopamine hits, and that can be difficult to break away from.
Hello. Hello.
I mean, I suppose it's at least he's not, if he's just doing that and you're backstage, at least he's not harassing people.
Yeah, he's not harassing people or making phony calls or anything like that. And so, but yeah, I don't miss it. There are some days where I don't listen to any of this stuff at all. I just plug in music and listen to music all day, Shiva.
You know what I've been listening to recently? I've been listening to an atheist called Matt Dillahunty, who I think is actually based in Texas. And he will often have debates with like Christians and Muslims. Yeah, so I've been enjoying those quite a lot. Like it's excuse me.
Well, Corrosive, why did you do that? Why did you keep coming up here? God damn it. He was trying to keep Truth Wanker out of my basement. I got to admit, that is a funny name for him, Shiva. It's fitting.
Coming up with funny names is a skill I have, a useless, pointless skill that I have. I named a book once. Someone was writing a book And so, just off the kind of top of my head, I proposed a title to them, and they ended up using it.
Let's see. But yeah, there are just days I like to listen to just music.
What kind of music do you like?
I tend to have a very eclectic taste in music. I am not a big fan of country music, but there are a few pieces that I think are standout that I like. But
I
as for
hated country music. I hated country music until I came across this genre of country called alt dot country or Americana, and there's actually some amazing country music being produced in the States. It's just not commercial.
mainstream,
Yeah. The Handsome Family are just fantastic. Have you seen True Detective, the TV
No.
show? All right.
I'm not a
okay.
big TV person. I haven't been for a long time. I mean, a long before YouTube. It has nothing to do with YouTube. But yeah, I listen to a lot of different types of music. Having taken voice growing up, I feel like I like listening to a lot of singers, really. Real singers.
Have you heard La Mystère de La Mystère de la Voix Bulgare, I think it's called. The Mystery of the Bulgarian Voice.
No.
It was a CD. I'm guessing you can get it as a digital download now. It's probably on YouTube, to be honest, of traditional Bulgarian singers, and it's like alien and beautiful is the best. It's kind of like a glacier is singing to you.
Crazy dingo. No punking Mr. Warlow. Good Lord.
Oh, he's still going.
What?
Truth wanker.
I know. I think that's corrosive.
No, what, in your private chat? That's not corrosive, is it?
Oh, it's not? Oh,
Doing the random letters? No.
no. Fake corrosive. Okay. What an idiot.
Yeah, see, Sugar Chris knows the Bulgarian.
I didn't mean to ban you, corrosive. Oh my God. I thought you were Truth Wanker.
Oh, brilliant. Wait, so does that mean that no, there is a fake corrosive because he's spamming the private chat right now?
Actually, he did play Daddy Warbucks, CC. He was actually one of the few Aussies ever to be on Broadway as Daddy Warbucks. Had I not been sick, I would have crawled on broken glass to go.
Apropos of nothing, I have noticed that when I stop smoking weed, my tobacco consumption goes through the roof.
You know what? I got to tell you, I have kind of tapered back, and as a result, I'm using a whole lot more nicotine. I'm not a smoker anymore. I'm a vapor, but the same principle applies.
I might get some patches. Try and kick the nicotine habit.
My husband still won't quit. He's got an aneurysm. He's got a AAA stent in his chest. That's another thing. You know, he's always going on about his mother being so delicate and elderly. I mean, she is 68 years old. She's the exact same age as my husband. And my husband has had an aneurysm, not a brain aneurysm, but a AAA. And he's not some fragile little flower that can't move. I mean, my husband was working a young man's job full time until just a few months ago, about 6 months ago, when he retired. So that whole business, oh, it's my elderly mother. Yeah, at 68 is no longer doddering in the 21st century. It's just not. Why would I sing Moses Supposes?
Yeah, that was the scam, wasn't it? The brain surgery deal that Diane's talking about in the chat.
Well, yeah, she blew her brains on heroin. Sorry about that, Julie. I mean, Bookie Worm, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to call you by that, Julie. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. My dad will have been passed away 20 years in May. STL, I'll have you know that I have never once asked anybody to block you in my chat. I do not have tyrant mods. They are not here to just block you for being STL. They know I would not be happy were they to do so. Just because another person runs their chat a certain way does not mean that I do. I don't like to block people in chat, especially not just for being somebody somebody doesn't like. I think that's stupid.
Me neither, but if you get me in a bad mood, then I will temporarily ban you. But generally, I tend to unban them, like either immediately after the stream ends or the next time that I remember, which is often the next day. The only person that didn't happen with was Trump said, because I forgot to unban him. But he's unbanned now.
I don't know who timed you out. Who timed out STL? And why was he timed out?
I mean, he was timed out because people enjoy it, I would imagine.
I've told them no doxing, no blatant homophobia, no crazy shit like that. But other than that, I mean, I've never even blocked Paige, and I'm way more pissed at her than I am at STL. Crits, you and I are really good friends and everything, but you know how I feel about that. Come on, girl.
Yeah, it's something that I had conversations with my mods about several times.
Yeah, I'm not somebody that's, I'm just not hypersensitive about chat. I mean, I can cam up and you can say I'm still fat. I'm not going to care. I don't give a fuck.
Well, and also, like, the chat trolls can be quite entertaining. Often, you know, what's going on in the chat is more entertaining than what's going on a given panel. You know.
Okay, so you didn't really hurt my feelings. You pissed me off, and because of my perception that you were not being even-handed about this.
About Rebel?
Yes.
I mean, when you...
Because I wasn't hurt. I want to make that clear.
Right, yeah. I mean, I didn't think that you were.
Because I've got a pretty thick skin about this sort of thing.
I mean, I would agree that I've had different sorts. Yeah, I mean, like I was saying, the tone of the conversations I would have to say, I don't know, like corrosive, would be very different. But at the same time,
Probably because you didn't piss him off. If you pissed him off, he could get that tone faster than God could get the news, and you know it.
Well, yeah, maybe.
Yeah, no, I do know it.
But I mean, I think like I reject. I mean, yes, I don't approach everyone the exact same way, but I reject the argument that I was singling you out. Like I've had conversations with Corrosive about it. I've had a conversation with Tonic about it. A conversation with Andrew about it. Where I've basically said, "This is unhealthy. What are you doing?"
And
I think perhaps like the when you wouldn't engage on Corrosives on his, not the stream that he just did, but the stream before that.
And like I said, that's the only reason I didn't engage. I even told Corrosive. I witnessed it. I said, look, I don't want this to be another Connie panel. That was the reason. It had nothing to do with you.
Yeah, but I kind of wasn't aware of that, and I suppose I just saw that as
a slight,
just not. No.
Blowing you off.
No, because that's kind of like a slight, isn't it? No, just more like just not willing to engage with the subject, which is an experience that I have quite often when I'm trying to have what I would consider to be like a real conversation with people, where like AC did it last night, where I was asking him about the kind of like his internal processes that lead to him putting people's images up, and then he kind of did the kind of jokey thing of, oh well, I'm just a bastard, so I'm going to be a bastard. Like so it wasn't so much that I felt slighted, it was more like I just kind of saw it as like an unwillingness to engage. But like I understand your reasons for doing so.
And I'm trying to unblock Corrosive from StreamYards. I accidentally blocked him.
I can't even remember where you would do that in StreamYard.
What?
I can't remember where you would even do that in StreamYard.
I don't know. I haven't been doing candles long enough to know. Wait, who's this? Quick commentary. Okay. All right. Quick commentary has been unbanned from the basement. I figured it out. I know. I have chewed his ear off a lot. I will give you that. Because it is true. Corrosive is one of my closest friends in the community. I mean, for a couple of years, he was probably the closest person in the community I had to being on the level, even close to the level of a real life friend, you know?
Do you like my new chair, by the way?
What chair?
Well, you can't hear it, can you?
Oh, did you have a squeaky chair before?
Yeah, that and the keyboard are the two things that people complain about most often.
I have 2 silicone skins on my keyboard at the office. And I wish everybody else would follow suit.
Well, I'm currently looking at a lot of computer porn because I'm going to build a new PC, and I'm wondering if I should get a mechanical keyboard. That's going to be even louder than this typing on this thing.
Yeah, no. There's a few people that work in my office that I kind of want to go over to where they are and go, Doesn't matter how hard you beat it, it's not ever going to pay you money. Only the company will.
Right, but it's an unconscious thing, right? Like
Oh,
when
of course I
I'm
do. Why do you think I put silicone skids on my keyboard?
yeah, see, Corrosive knows about my chair. See, whereas now I can move around in this chair and it doesn't make a sound. It's great.
Well, I am glad that you and I had this conversation, and maybe in the future we can be more cordial with one another,
I don't see why not.
because now you understand me a little better too.
Yes, but that doesn't
And
necessarily mean that I agree.
you don't have to. I don't require that.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
I
no, I've
thought
got a
it necessary that you need to know that I'm not just some crazy bitch that wants to torment this little fucker. That there's just reasons.
But
It's
I mean,
it's not even something I can really put my finger on. Corrosive, is that you? He's showing me his mic, I hope.
but like, given that so many people in the community kind of do what you do, but actually what they want is to trigger rebel, then can you see how people might perceive that you were doing the same thing?
Oh, sure. And in a way, I was trying to trigger him. One time I did get him to quit his life. He rage quit his life because he went live one night just for the purpose of telling everybody that I'm going live tomorrow to ask for money. And I said, "Oh, you're doing a pre-begging stream. Awesome." That alone was able to make him not go live the next day. Pre-begging.
Another 150 messages in the private chat.
I used
What have you done to Truth Wanker, Liz?
Nothing. Absolutely nothing. I've had no interactions with him.
All right, it must be because I'm on the panel then. I don't know why. Well, no, I think I do know why. It's because I called him out over the sending the FBI round to Paulie's house and all that kind of bullshit. But he seems obsessed with me.
Sugar Crits, I used to play violin before my hands got real bad.
I used to play the clarinet.
I have rheumatoid arthritis, so that's not a possibility anymore. I just have to kind of stick with just singing now. And even that, I'm not as good as I used to be. When I had my breakthrough last year, I was able to stop taking some of my medications. And one of the things that happened was I got my really super sensitive hearing back because one of the meds was numbing my hearing. And for several years, I couldn't sing at all. I couldn't even my ability to hear quarter tones and half tones had just, I could no longer tell if I was on key anymore.
Can you hold sticks?
What do you mean?
Can you hold sticks? Like, because I'm wondering if whether some kind of melodic percussive instrument like a glockenspiel might be something you'd be interested in.
No,
exploring.
I'll just keep on singing because I got my hearing back after I had my breakthrough and threw out those psych meds, and now I can sing again.
You know, I about 3 or 4 years ago, I kind of got into playing these what would you call this, like steel drum things. And have you ever heard of a hang drum?
Maybe.
It's like a UFO shaped percussive instrument that operates on the same principles as a steel kettle drum, right? Like a steel drum that you play with your hands, but they're like really expensive, like $1,000 upwards, you know, and also very, very hard to get hold of. But there are a whole bunch of other instruments that are, you know, considerably cheaper, like a couple of £100 or whatever, that are that you play with mallets that have tongues kind of cut out of them, and the length of the tongue determines the pitch of that individual kind of note.
I sold my piano. I sold my piano after I couldn't play that anymore. I mean, and I didn't play it anyway. My daughter also took voice in high school, well, in middle school too, but she also took voice growing up, and she went into opera training, and I had the piano for practice purposes, not for accompaniment. I mean, I knew enough. I used to know enough that I could pick out some scales and chords for warm-ups and stuff like that. But as for playing the instrument, no.
No, Sugar Crits calling me a hippie is fighting words.
Yeah. You know what? I forgot. You know what? I know why they're sticking around here. They're waiting on something.
Is that a hot mic situation?
No, it's not a hot mic situation. Just a second. Another feature,
hand pan. That's what they're called. Yeah, hand pans. Correct.
You'll have to understand. My audience will kind of be upset if I don't do this because he is a feature of my panels.
Oh, I don't care if you put your cat on the panel. I mean, I like cats. We've got 3 now. Mandu, who is the cat Mandu, he a couple of months ago, he literally dragged a stray kitten into the house by the scruff of his neck and then deposited him at the food. And over the last couple of months, this kitten has kind of moved into the house, and we've called him Hobo, and now he won't leave the house. We took him to the vet today to get a checkup. He's got a heart murmur, which may or may not develop into a more serious condition.
And there's the biggest Tober fan. Richard Cheese is the #1 Tobers fan.
You got a Dumbeck as well. Dumbecks are great drums. And djembes. I kind of like drums. Drumming is a fun activity. Does your cat like cheese?
He's more of a meat kitty. Fish. Another favorite of his is ham. Oh my God.
With our cats, that they either eat hideously expensive dried cat food, or the stuff that's kind of like super high in protein and whatnot, or tuna. They love tuna.
Oh yeah, he loves tuna. His eyes get all big and round. Such a good boy. I've had he is special. I've had him since the day he was born. So it's one of the reasons why we're so bonded.
Is he neurotic and needy?
No, he's a very chill cat.
Because people often have this idea that cats are aloof and kind of fairly self-maintaining. That's not true.
Well, he likes attention from time to time, of course, but he's a very chill cat, very docile, very just chill. But he's also an older cat. He's 12.
Right. Okay.
So, yeah.
Well, where are we at, do you think? It seems like we've resolved some issues between us.
I hope so.
Now, look.
And I mean, if I'm glad I didn't offend you in my rant earlier, but I was pretty pissed off.
Oh, I don't get offended by people being rude.
And as a homosexual man, I've got to tell you, one of the worst things you can do is call a woman or infer that a woman is unbalanced.
Why?
It never bodes well for the man in question. Ask CC. He's been married a long time.
Yeah, right. But that says more about the women than the men, to be honest.
But men and women are different from each other, and
I
that's
know.
okay. That's okay.
Yeah, I'm aware of the fact that men and women are different from each other.
Truth wanker, stop doxing Rada in my basement.
Is that what he's? Oh, is he doing it with an image or something?
Yes.
Yeah. What about Shelley? Is she unhinged?
I still think she's obsessed with men that aren't hers.
I have to admit, I've still got a bit of a soft spot for Shelley, even though she's as crazy as a bag of cats.
He's a bag full of cats. Well, let's just. I'm done with her. I'm just done. One of the things, it made me mad. Cursive defended her upwards and downwards for 2 years. And when
You lasted longer than I did.
When she turned on him for the sake of backing Connie, that's when I was done. Because Rebel has no loyalty to anybody.
Can I ask why is it? I forget the exact word that you used, so I'm just going to say wrong, even though that wasn't the word that you used. But like, why is it wrong for a gay man specifically to say, for instance, that a woman is unhinged? Like,
oh no, what I meant as
no.
What I meant was, as a gay man, you might not be aware
of
that one of the worst things a man can tell a woman is that she is infer that she's unhinged.
Imply. Sorry, it's one of those bugbears of mine. Implying, yeah. Infer is when you kind of make a guess about something, like you see something and you draw a conclusion. That's you inferring
well, you
something.
had seen what I had been doing and you drew a conclusion without knowing the whole facts.
Right, yeah. But I mean, you yourself have acknowledged that you don't think that your relationship with Rebel is a particularly healthy one.
No, but it is what it is.
I mean, I personally think that the only healthy relationship that one can have with Rebel is not to engage with him, like, which is my take. You know, that's my approach with him, really. Just don't engage. Do you know David? Like this evening, David kept bringing me little individually wrapped chocolates, like little chocolates, which I thought was a bit odd. You know, it was quite nice, but it was a bit odd. And then he took a lit pumpkin out to the front steps, and then I went up to the loo, and there's like a bowl of chocolates on the bottom step by the front door, and I realized he'd done all this because it's, you know, trick-or-treating, but we haven't had trick-or-treaters come around this house in about like since we've lived here.
Yeah, you know what? I haven't done trick-or-treat since before my mother passed away. Believe it or not.
Well, I think you guys can have trick-or-treating back as a holiday.
But Halloween's never been my thing. I was always more into Thanksgiving as a holiday. Well, I'm sorry, the American holiday Thanksgiving. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you don't need to qualify it. Like I'm aware of what Thanksgiving is.
Yeah, but Canada has their Thanksgiving too, so you know.
I do that, right? Okay, yeah.
And it's not the same. It is, and it's not at the same time we have ours.
Yeah, and do they have it for a similar reason?
I don't know. That might be something you would ask a Canadian. Maybe Corrosive. He's married to a Canadian.
I'll ask Google. All right. Okay. No, it's very different. So apparently, and this is just from the first Google result, Canada's Parliament proclaimed a day for giving thanks for the bountiful harvest with which Canada has been blessed in 1879. The holiday actually has much earlier beginnings, so possibly beginning in some form back in 1587 with Arctic explorer Martin Frobisher.
Oh, Cece, we were talking about the Canadian Thanksgiving holiday, the origins of it. I didn't know. I said should ask you since you're married to a Canadian.
So I have a question for Corrosive. Being married to a Canadian, what's it like living with someone whose head flops from the mouth up and down? Sorry, that was a South Park joke. If you don't watch South Park, then you're not going to.
It's been several years since I have, actually. I used to like it. But
I used to love it. And then I kind of, got a bit like bored with it, I suppose. I did see their most recent effort, though, called Into the Pandaverse, which is a kind of piss taking of the current attitudes surrounding diversity and inclusivity in mainstream media, like in the MCU and Disney films. But it was taking the piss out of both sides of the argument because, it's South Park, isn't it? I'm not your guy, buddy.
I'm not your buddy, friend. I'm not your pal, buddy. I love that. I'm not your guy, buddy. Anyway, I think I am going to wrap things up. I basically did not pass go and did not collect $200 after I came home from work. I went live.
Hope you're not like eating or anything.
Oh, no, I'm good.
All right. Okay. Well, thank you for what I think has been a very good conversation.
Well, I had hoped so. Sorry about going off on you earlier, but I was pissed.
Fine. Don't worry about it. I don't get offended by people being rude.
I blew off some steam. And yeah, I do feel a little better for it, honestly, because honestly, this has been going on for a year and it had gone on long enough.
No, nothing has really gone on. I think a lot of this is in your head. Like, because I don't think that I treat you any differently to how I treat other people. And I think maybe, there was a certain amount of frustration that crept in to my interactions with you. But I wouldn't consider myself as, say, going at you in say the same way that I'd go at Tonic, for example. I think you probably actually have a very different experience. At least I would hope so. But I suppose it's in terms of my own personal growth, certainly communication is the area. But anyway, I should let you stop. Thank you for having me up and
Certainly.
For a good conversation. I'll see you later.
All right. All right. Well, gosh, this panel's gone on over 2 hours. I wanted to thank everybody for coming by today. Thank you to all of my guests. Thank you to my mods for coming and modding. And I'm glad that there was a civil conversation had. Maybe not all differences were resolved, but I think maybe we both understand each other a little better, which I think is good. And just so you know, Sancho is going live in 10 minutes for his Halloween panel. So I encourage everyone that wants to, or everyone to go head over to Sancho's Halloween panel, and we'll see you there. Y'all have a great evening, okay? Take care of yourselves.